So I'm David Mearns, Director of Blue Water Recoveries, and I've been leading now again another private search on behalf of the Ibbotson family for the body of David Ibbotson, which hadn't been found. And all the search activities actually took place today. The weather conditions were absolutely perfect in terms of working in wintertime here. And this is why we mobilized everything to happen at the same time. So we had a search of the wreckage of the plane by technical divers and also a helicopter search today of the coastline. So they're two separate events, two vessels involved on the dive and one helicopter, two pilots and two trained observers searching. Sadly, both efforts were negative. We had a very thorough search of the wreckage on the seabed, where these divers could get access to parts of the plane that the AAIB search using an ROV, a robotic vehicle, could not access, could not penetrate in, and the divers could do that. They can do it visually, they could do it with their hands and with cameras. And they spent 20 minutes on the wreckage, going through it thoroughly, inside and out, and there's no sign at all of David Ibbotson, of any clothing or any personal effects. And so we're now 100% confident that he's not there. And that search was conducted because the AAIB, with their ROV, could not be conclusive. They said the number they gave me was 98%. And what we wanted to do was to, if David couldn't be found, that at least the family could go away knowing that 100% he is not there. And we removed that last uncertainty for them. We also collected a better high-resolution video footage of the plane, which may help with the air accident investigation, but that's a future thing. Simultaneously this morning, we also organized a helicopter to fly over from the UK. As I said, it had two pilots, two trained observers, and the idea there was to, if David's body did wash ashore in an area of the Channel Islands and also the French Peninsula west of Cherbourg, where, for example, the sea cushions washed ashore. Any of these beaches that are inaccessible, hard to get to, that people can't reach, walkers can't get to, they're cliff, that the helicopter would focus there. And you can see it's a perfect day to do that. The helicopter was a low-level flight at 500 feet and below, if necessary, and all of those areas have been scoured, and they were negative. And that is as much as we could have done on behalf of the family in terms of trying to find his body actively. Beyond that, there is still the chance that David's body will wash ashore somewhere. It is not unusual for it to happen 6 weeks or longer afterwards. And that could happen anywhere, including the most likely places are actually the south coast of England, Hampshire coast, West Sussex, the Brighton area. So on behalf of the family, all that we can ask is that people who are out walking the beaches, walking the dogs, they're vigilant. If they see anything, obviously notify the authorities, the police, right away. And that is the only hope that we can really have for the families, for the Ibbotson family, in terms of finding David's body, because the active searches are completed as of today, and sadly they were negative.
And have you informed the family of this, David?
Yes, I've talked to, all my contact is with the youngest daughter, Danielle Ibbotson, and I've been speaking to her almost daily in terms of the planning of this. I've been texting her while we were out on the water what was happening, and I just informed her before I got off the boat that both searches were negative.
And what's their reaction to the...
Well, I haven't met Daniel. My relationship is on the phone with her. I think this is something they expected. We all knew this was a low chance of being successful. There wasn't a huge amount of hope, but still, it was something that could be done, and really a reasonable effort and reasonable chance, but again, low probability. So I think this was their worst fear, but I think they were prepared for it. At least Daniel was. I don't know about the rest of the family, but this is a very difficult thing for them, and it's all being played out in the media as well. And they're a private family, and that's the reason why I'm conducting these interviews. They'd rather not speak at this time.
Let's ask you one question in terms of is it unusual for one body to be missing in the case of the pilots, David, and the passenger to be found? I mean, give us an indication as to, is that an unusual thing to happen?
Well, listen, every air crash is different. I think what people need to understand is that this was a very high speed impact on, you don't need to be an expert to say this and know this. It was a high speed impact on the water. Both people would have been killed instantaneously. The wreckage, the plane is badly wrecked. You talk about 3 pieces, but that's only describing it in a way that does not really sort of depict how badly the plane is broken and shattered. So in terms of how the bodies were injured, how they would get out of the aircraft, what would happen to them afterwards, it's hard really to say, but it's not surprising when you see how badly damaged this aircraft is.
Sure.
You talked about obviously the media attention that there has been for these past few weeks, and you have been kind of front and center of that, both working with the Sala family and now the Ibbotson family. And what has that been like for you, and have you ever dealt with anything like it?
Yeah, I've been involved in very high profile searches before, nothing so immediate. That's the difference here, that these are people that are grieving now. It's all fresh and raw for them, and but I have a lot of experience with families of those who lost loved ones. Oftentimes the time distance is greater, but the effect is still the same. Here it's just more raw, and so I think that's probably why they trust me, so it's been a very intense period for the past, now going on 4 weeks. And we've done everything we can for both families. And I'm saying we, I volunteered all my time, but there's an awful lot of people in Guernsey, in the UK, that really helped. I couldn't have done what I've done or put together, organized these things without a lot of people in Guernsey giving me advice, help, all sorts of assistance. And I think it's just, it's a tragedy. Both men have died, and it's a double tragedy that one family walks away without a body to bury at this point in time. Hopefully that will change, but all that we can do now is hope. We have done everything we possibly can.
So you think that there's no other area to pursue beyond that hope that perhaps a body washes ashore? There's nothing more that can be attempted.
No, you cannot search for a body underwater that is mobile. You don't know where it is, and now after 5 weeks, it could be anywhere. So you cannot do a targeted search. Today we did a targeted search. We searched the wreckage to make sure that 2% he wasn't there, and we searched beaches where he could have come ashore here in the obvious places, in as I said, the Channel Islands and that west coast of France. Beyond that, it's impossible to really direct any kind of targeted search.